I think, actually, identifying with the F word started
Sure.
probably when I was doing my postgraduate
Okay.
honours degree in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I think I did a course with Virginia Brown, and it was it was on critical qualitative methods, so there was a lot of feminist stuff in there. She's a feminist psychologist, and that just totally shook up my world. Like, it was actually almost like a violent process. Like, I just felt like everything I thought I knew about my being in the world, my relationships just got pulled out from under me. It was quite prolific. Yeah.
Can you recreate the process of that? Like, how did that happen?
It was through, the process itself was mainly through engaging with the readings that she had assigned, and then getting us to reflect on those. So like we would keep a journal, and it was a project in reflexivity. So it was not just critically reflecting on the readings, but thinking about how we kind of interacted with them and how they kind of spoke to different relations of power. And it was the journal writing part of it, actually. And then at the end of the semester, our assignment was to go back on our journal and analyse our process. And it was profound. It was really profound. It was huge for me. It had like shockwaves throughout my life. It was massive. And from that moment, that made me also like cast a gaze back on my past and see a lot of my like interactions and a lot of my experiences through like this analytic category of gender.
Oh, well, tell me, what was it in the readings that was causing this kind of transformation in your way of thinking?
Yeah, right. It was, a lot of it was around epistemologies.
Okay.
So kind of questioning truths and looking at the links between knowledges and power, and so really wondering what real was.
Okay.
But it was also starting to realise that so many of my relationships with people and my experiences of being in the world had been enacted within this kind of patriarchal system, and so I was in many ways like complicit in the marginalisation of myself and the marginalisation of other women and the marginalisation of many other communities in the world.
Oh, wow.
So it was both like a coming to consciousness about my own, I guess, oppression, but I think more importantly it was a coming to consciousness about the interconnectedness of my privilege with other people's oppression. Like, it was kind of both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you, taking yourself back to that time, you said that it caused you to kind of look back on your life through this different lens. Were there specific things in your life that you kind of looked back at and thought, oh, that's a moment when I kind of did this, or when I was implicated in that?
Yeah. It was, I'm trying to think of when I look back and saw that I was like what I may have been complicit in, and I can't recall. It's funny, I've looked at, but I looked back and I thought a lot about my childhood and my growing. I just grew up with my mother on welfare and our two and then three brothers.
Oh, wow.
And we were really, really poor, and we grew up in a very, very white middle class neighbourhood. And I think I just suddenly looked back, and my mum experienced a lot of abuse from my father, and then from boyfriends after that, which I witnessed as a child and then as a young woman. And I also witnessed like the stigma that she experienced as a single woman, especially in terms of her sexuality, within our community. I mean, she was, and her like her strength throughout all of that, right? And her like her creativity and her commitment to relationships and art, and to us, to her family. And I think it was being kind of schooled and converted to feminism that enabled me to kind of look back and draw on that as like the source of expertise that I had been brought up with, through my mum. And but then, at the same time, I started to look critically at the community that I was brought up in, in terms of kind of gendered and classed dynamics, and also like my relationship with my father, and and yeah, just like it was
Mm-hmm.
it was huge.
Yeah.
It was really huge.